It's getting to that time in the school year. Midterms are coming up and you're wondering how you should be studying for them. In this video, I will show you guys how to study for midterms. Hey guys, it's Sean and welcome back to this channel. If you're new to this channel, I'm a current junior at Rutgers University, majoring in exercise science on the pre-med track. Make sure to subscribe for college and pre-med content. Alright, let's get into the video. Alright, so my first tip is that midterm studying should be all about doing review and doing practice problems if that class has a lot of practice problems and if it's conceptual. At this point, you should not be doing any type of new learning with the material. You should not be learning new lectures. You should not be doing anything new when it comes to studying for midterms. In the weeks leading up to the midterm, that's when you should be learning the new material, and that's when you should be doing new problems that you never done before. But just for that moment of studying for the midterms, your midterm studying should be all about doing the review and then applying that review to doing practice problems if that class is conceptual. Alright, so my second tip is to make sure to plan out everything you need to study until the day before the midterm. So I recommend getting either a planner or a calendar, and this will just help you keep you organized and it will help you know everything you need to do. And in case you have an emergency, you can always push the studying back a bit, or if you even have more time to study, then you can increase the amount of material that you're reviewing each day. My third tip is to ask for help to your professor if you need to. This is just a good way to make sure you know what you're reviewing in case if you get lost anytime while you're studying for a midterm. Now is the perfect time to ask for help. You had the weeks before you start studying midterm to ask for help via your professor in your office hours or whatever, but now is the time to ask for help. And if a class offers review sessions, this is a great way to not only ask for help, but to also do practice problems and to also see other students getting help with their own problems. My fourth tip is to please, very please, give yourself enough time to study for a midterm. So what I personally did was, for my science classes or any other 10 classes that I took, I gave myself 2 weeks to study for midterm because I knew I had more material and I probably had to do practice problems ahead of studying for that midterm. But for non-intense classes or for my non-science classes, I usually gave myself a week because I had less material and usually I didn't really have to do practice problems at that time. This is what I did. I know that's probably not going to work for everyone, but so find what works best for you. But in general, I feel like you should give yourself more time for the classes that are more intense than the non-science classes that are not as intense. So my fifth tip will be to look at all the objective goals or the learning goals if the professor posts them to see whether you master the material or not. I honestly wish I would learn this way earlier because this is just a very good way to see what the professor expects from you when you are studying the material. And usually these learning goals are probably very high yield because if the professor is directly posting that to you, whether in their syllabus or in their lectures, then you definitely know that the professor probably wants you to not only learn the material but to apply the material when taking the midterms. So while you're studying for these midterms, you should always ask yourself whether you thoroughly knew the material or not. And how you can ask yourself that is do reviewing notes and doing practice problems if that class is conceptual. My tip number 6 is to use different active learning strategies to see whether you actually understand the material or you just sort of know it but you don't really know it. And this depends on which type of class you're taking. So for classes that are more conceptual, like Gen Chem, Orgo, Physics, I will usually do a lot of practice problems. So I usually try to attempt practice problems, and I attempt each and every single one of the suggested practice problems suggested by the professor to make sure you really understand the material and that you understand whatever concept that practice problem is teaching you. And also, I would try to do all practice exams if your professor offers it, or if you ask someone like an upperclassman for the practice problems. This is a great way to see what the professor likes to question so that you're more than ready for the midterm. And usually I try to do as many of these as possible so I can really know what the professor is asking. And once I do at least a few of these practice exams, it makes the midterm that much easier. And for memorization based classes like general biology, neuroscience, or general psychology, I will usually rewrite my notes. And I usually rewrote my notes by using sequences, mind maps, and tables. And this way, when I rewrote my notes and when I kept writing whatever material I was trying to memorize, it was kept to my LTP, otherwise known as long-term potentiation. And that way I'll be able to remember that over a long period of time, over just knowing it for like, let's say a few days or something like that. And also, if I really need to memorize something, I will try to use flashcards. The flashcard I use is Anki. And Anki is a great way for spaced repetition, and that also enabled me to learn the material over a long period of time. But I know a lot of people use Quizlet as well, and Quizlet is a very good app as well. And again, that will enable you to also learn the material at a long period of time, but probably not as much as Anki, but still really good because you can play like a lot of games using Quizlet as well. So just choose whatever one you need to use if you really need to memorize the material. Tip number 7. On the day before your midterm, try not to go too crazy on the review. At this point, you should not be doing any more intensive studying because you've been doing it over the past week or two. So if you need to do a little bit of review, just do a tiny bit of review, but don't try to review intensively like your previous 7 or 14 days or even more days if you need that more time to study for midterm. Instead, either do some other homework for another class or try to do something fun so you can take your mind off that midterm or the process of studying for that midterm. You know, do any hobby you like to do or whatever, but just try to get your mind off that midterm. And also, please get some good sleep. Please. I've seen this too many times amongst people who try to do an all-nighter. Do not do an all-nighter. You honestly shouldn't really need an all-nighter, to be honest. If you've been studying over the past 7 to 14 days or even more days, they're just a waste of time. You're not going to get the best performance, and it will probably lead you to get a bad grade. Obviously, there's some people who could probably do good on all-nighters, but most of the time it's not good for you. So just make sure you get some good sleep. Like, please get some good sleep. Because that will just help you do better on test day, and it will just help your overall performance. And a bonus tip would just be to try to over prepare for that first midterm. No matter how well you studied before that midterm, or no matter how well you know what the expectations are for your upcoming midterms, you're just never gonna 100% prepare for the exam. You might be almost there, you might be tiny almost there, but you're just never gonna be fully prepared. So try your best to over prepare for the midterm so that you give yourself that best chance to do well in the class. Alright, thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure you guys like and also comment on any other future video ideas that you want me to do. See you guys next time, and peace.